Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, two avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Men for the Win is sponsored by the Grand Group with Edina Realty. Are you looking to purchase a new home in the Twin Cities area? Or perhaps you're trying to sell your current home? Whether you're upsizing or downsizing, the Grand Group with Edina Realty will meet all of your housing needs. Contact the Grand Group by emailing thegran, that's G-R-A-N, group, at edinarealty.com, or call them by phone at 612-817-8751. The Grand Group with Edina Realty, 7-time Minneapolis-St. Paul Magazine Super Agent Award winners.
Men for the Win is part of the Pulltab Sports Network, covering sports, culture, and entertainment across the Midwest. Check them out at pulltabsports.com and give them a follow on all your social media platforms at Pulltab Sports. On this episode, David, Dan, and Hoges focus on the 2026 Minnesota Twins roster construction and the pieces that they still need to add. Thanks for listening. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win. My name is David Kufis. With me, as always, is Dan Thompson. Special third chair in studio, Andrew Hogenson. Boys, we're a bit removed here from our season wrap. We are moving on. 2025 is a distant memory. We're focused on the holidays. We're going to focus on Christmas, getting presents, and what would be better, boys, as a present than a winning 2026 season for your Minnesota Twins?
I don't know how you said any of that with a straight face. Even saying the pieces they still need to add, like a bullpen.
They're going to be okay.
With all due respect, sir, I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
It's not like optimism. Cool. We have to talk about a couple things before we get to the Twins. So we've had this conversation through text a long time. I think David and I even had it without Hoges once and then cut it because it didn't have Hoges' voice. Watching sporting events on delay. So David and I, we're family men, and we like to spend our time in the evenings with our families.
I don't like where this is going.
So a lot of times David and I will watch games on delay. And I think we have different lines that we draw in this. But Hoges thinks that we are absolutely bonkers for watching any games on delay. And you can't tell me, Hoges, that you never click that DVR button or whatever it is now. Never? You never?
Not in 5 years, I bet. And the only reason I did is I originally did it when I couldn't watch the afternoon games before we would record the podcast. Other than that, no, never. Mm-hmm. It's 2025. There's too much going on.
Would you like me to spoil every movie you haven't seen, Hoges? Is that it's
I would prefer not.
Okay, well, I would.
Did you know that he sees dead people in The Sixth Sense?
25 years. That's
Fight
well
Club.
Past. All right.
Fight Club is himself the entire time.
It's worse than a cliche, I think, at this point, to use those as spoilers. But I just think, Hoges, that you're totally. It's frustrating to me that you have such a problem with this, as if this impacts you at all.
It does. It legitimately does impact me, because you are the person I text the most when I'm watching a baseball game.
True.
And one of you, without fail, is like, on delay tonight, can't text. Well, this is fun. I don't get to talk to anyone while I'm watching this game now. But it'll be like a meaningless game in June, and you guys just can't.
That's the part.
It'll be like
no. Don't
the
lump
fourth
me in with
inning,
David on the meaningless game in June, because that's David. David does this with Twins games. I rarely do with Twins games.
That is true.
I'm sorry if I like to be prepared for the podcast that we host and make sure I don't miss anything.
But baseball's not a bad thing to have on in the background.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Right? It's easy, right? You can just monitor it from a distance. It's like music.
Yeah, I can play with my kids and still have the game on in there. It's not that bad.
You have two boys, Hoges. How do you focus on
I don't
the game
hear
where
it.
they're
I definitely don't hear it.
You hear it when you get when you get Provis worked up or somebody else, and then you turn your focus to it. It's like a beautiful chord in a music in a song, right? That I'm drawn. I have to tell the kids, hold on, I got to listen to this part. It's the same thing with
that
baseball.
is the most relevant part of Bluey, when the dad is playing with the kids and he's trying to watch the cricket. Yes. He's like, hang on, and he's got both kids, one over his shoulder and one on his arm, and he's like, hang on, Daddy needs to watch the cricket. And then the other most relatable part is when he's on the toilet and the kids are on the toilet with him, just sitting on him. I'm like, this is our life. Just without the accents.
I do like I obviously whenever you're watching it on like if one of you is at the game or something, or not even at the game, but like one of you is just a little bit ahead of me because of my internet connection or something like that, I will have to take off my watch and throw my phone in the other room because otherwise I can see it. And David said something hilarious when we were at the game, all three of us together the last time we were there. David said whenever a big play is happening, he finds himself looking up at his phone sometimes to see what happened when you're literally there seeing it. And I've done that so many times, it's embarrassing. Where you're just like, oh, I got it. I'm too nervous. I got to see if they get a strike here. And you're like, you're looking at it live, man.
Nobody has this information prior to you having it.
You are the fastest.
Like, what's Twitter saying? Like, what am I doing?
I know.
Oh, killer.
So now with the Wild being pretty good again, over at least the month of November. Those I have been trying to watch a little more, but hockey is so easy to just click like 15 seconds. Like what can happen in 15 seconds of a hockey game?
You just see a couple highlights and you get caught up.
Yeah. So I don't know. I do watch NFL game. Well, I'm not going to do as much of this now, but with the Vikings, but like trying to catch whole Vikings games, because I think there's something about a whole football game. It's only once a week that I do. And with it starting here most of the time at 10 in the morning, like I don't want to jump in the third quarter. Right,
yeah,
especially
but
with
that's the difference.
Yeah,
a little bit. I haven't watched a whole pack. I watched the whole game this last weekend. That's probably the only game I've watched the entire game this entire year.
See, but it's so much different though, watching the highlights of what's happened compared to watching it live.
I get it, but I think you're living in a fantasy world where like that's still possible to do.
It is possible, Hogs. It's the future. Yes. I know that you only have VHSs at your house where you have to make sure if you don't want to record over a VHS tape, you have
I can't get rid of those Wheel of Fortune episodes. Those are gold.
No, those are vital. I will say something funny kind of happened at Sunday at church, though. So the F1 race was in Vegas, and so the race was actually on Saturday night.
Verstappen won.
Yes, thank you, Hogs.
Oh, man, you ruined it for me. Come on, guys.
But here's the thing. So I stayed up to watch the race, right? And so I watched the race. I was kind of sleepy at church, whatever, but that's okay. So after the service, a guy comes up who knows I watch F1. And he goes, can I talk about F1 or have you not got to watch it yet? I'm like, oh, no, I stayed up and watched it. He goes, man, crazy with McLaren, right? And I go, oh, what do you mean? And both Lando and Oscar Piastri got disqualified after the race. So after I went to bed, I did not know that.
You didn't even know. You still got a spoiler.
That's not really a spoiler, but it sort of is a spoiler. And I'm like, what now? He's like telling me this. He's like, I thought you watched. I'm like, I did, but I went to bed when the race was over. I didn't like stay up and find the
because it had to have been like midnight, right? Or after midnight
it
maybe?
Wasn't that long a race? No, it was like 11:40. I think.
Oh, that's not too bad
actually when it was all said and done. Yeah.
All right. Well, listeners can weigh in. You can text the show. You can connect with us through various social media accounts. But we would love to hear whether you watch games on delay or whether you're a purist like Hogs and you live in the moment at all times.
I can assure you are the only two.
It's just not even a little bit accurate, Hogs. But
well, speaking of things that Hogs is wrong about, so board games are coming up here. Hogs has been traveling a lot. He's like suddenly leaving the country for a few days here. Like, I'm just very confused. When are you actually going to pin down and play this board game night? I forgot even what the bet was that Hogs owes you a game night.
I did a whole Iron Man just to try to avoid David. It's a pretty good excuse when you say you got to be working out for 14 hours a day in order to not do something. But now I'm leaving the country too, so.
So Hogs will do anything to not play board games. But
I dedicated it to you when I crossed the finish line. I did a little David as I went across.
Oh, thank you. That's good to note. But so I watched the video, Hogs. I think your wife sent it.
Nice.
You sent it. Somebody sent it. It was nice, but it looked
you.
very nice. Andrew Hogs, to be honest, I think I could have done a better job at the announcing than that guy.
The guy was horrible. Like, he was terrible. My brother
Andrew
texted
Hoganson,
me.
You're an Iron Man. I'm like, dude. The man almost died doing these things. Can you show? I know you're doing this for everybody crossing the line, but show some form of this is your one job. You have a microphone to yell the guy's name.
Yeah, he was like,
something
how was
more
it
exciting?
How was it with a guy saying that you're an Iron Man who sounded like he was half asleep and didn't have a voice anymore?
Yes.
To be fair, I didn't even hear him. So I didn't even hear it until after I watched the video. I could not hear him live. So I guess that was kind of sad too, but whatever.
But anyway, so the bet was Hogs believed that he was going to hit a home run at Target Field with a wooden bat.
Right.
Which is,
I forgot.
I mean, again, Hogs' delusions of grandeur are well documented, but this was one that pretty much took the cake. So
who did the Twins sign as the backup catcher now? I think he's got the same delusions of grandeur. I'm not sure he could hit a home run at Target
Field.
Same
OPS.
But so anyway, so Hogs, we will get a night scheduled here on the calendar where you'll come play some board games. And again, my goal is to make sure that you have the most fun that you could have ever imagined playing.
I still want you to make me miserable. I think that would be better. But I mean, I guess
I am a very good host, Hoges, and I would feel quite terrible if I had you come to my house.
I'm not going to write you a Yelp review afterwards or anything.
I'm actually starting a side.
I'll tell you the truth.
Where
I'm a little confused by your tactics.
I can start a side business where I'll facilitate board games if people want me to come to their house, and I'll just teach them board games. It's great.
If I have fun, that night will be an epic disappointment for me.
Sorry, David. Man.
If I have fun, you will be a terrible host in my mind.
Wow. I don't know how to deal with that. You don't think there's a big market there for board game facilitators to go into houses?
That's what I'm saying. Yep. Yeah, show me that business card for anyone.
Aren't there people who sit at those stupid conventions you go to and teach you the
games?
No,
they are. Yeah, that's not really a job. Most of them.
There's no way anyone's paying those people to do that.
No, well, they usually pay for their pass to the thing, and then they pay for the hotel stay.
How small do you feel right now, David? I'm so sorry.
In which just about
Dan's
everything
giving
that you're
me beach
about?
balls to hit.
Yeah. No, but for the record, I do think that there is a market. The problem would be finding the market is tricky, because my brother and I have actually talked about this a lot. I really love teaching board games, and I love showing people things they haven't seen before. And I would hope that Dan would agree that I'm pretty good.
You're the
at
best
that.
game teacher. I have been taught games,
but that's
by
why
other
you got to
people,
pick
and
a
it's really
terrible
bad.
game.
Yeah,
you got to pick a terrible game and then still make me admit that I had fun. Because if you try, we all know you're going to be successful. I'm pretty easy to please. Like, I'm willing to have a good time doing just about anything. But if you purposely pick a horrible game and then because I will admit it, if there's one thing about me, I maybe have delusions of grandeur, but I will own up to it. I will admit if I have fun. I want you to challenge yourself a little bit here. We've played many games in the past that you've said you're going to love this game, and I always do. I think you gotta up the challenge level for yourself.
That's a better argument than make me miserable. like see if you can make me enjoy a game that you think I probably wouldn't. Like, yeah,
I think it'll be
better.
Yeah, exactly.
We can, but I feel bad if your wife's coming. That's the hard part for me.
Like I spoke before, she knew what she was getting into when she married me. None of this is a surprise. And eventually, a little bit of the responsibility falls on her for choosing me in the first place.
Okay, boys, we have indulged ourselves pretty aggressively here to start this episode. So really what this episode is about is just looking ahead to the 2026 Minnesota Twins. And really what this comes down to, they don't really have anybody to re-sign. Like, most of these decisions have been made as far as who was available to the roster before we hit free agency. And they've offered contracts to all the arbitration eligible players except for Deshaun Kersey. So you have all these guys who are going to go through the arbitration process, and they're going to get paid what they're going to get paid. But so the question really becomes, what do they still need to add on this roster? And I guess what I would ask is, give me your top 4 things that they need to add, and like, what would you see them realistically doing in the offseason is really the question.
I mean, I think number 1, clearly bullpen. And I'm not going to say, I mean, that could be all 4 spots, but I'm just going to give it 1 right there. Number 2, they need a first baseman that has offensive skill. Like, Cody Clemens is fine, but not offensively at an offensive premium position. Third, they need a right-handed bat in the outfield. Like, you can't just have all of these lefties who cannot do right-handed pitching out there. I mean, we cannot have that happen this entire year. And then after that, I think Jeffers is a pretty solid trade candidate, and Gleeman kind of talked about that a little bit. I don't think that this Alex Jackson is a viable backup. So I think backup catcher, and even, I mean, and I might tie that a little bit with like a utility guy too, because Brooks Lee playing full-time shortstop still scares me a little bit.
I don't disagree with those spots. It's a question of whether they're going to do that internally or externally. I think the relief pitchers need to come externally a little bit, but I think they're going to turn some of those starters into relievers now.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow convert Taj Bradley into a relief pitcher. They convince him, hey, look, you can throw 100 miles an hour and you can be Johan Duran. And I think we saw that happen with Louis Varland after much consternation. And I get it, because starting pitchers get paid way more than relief pitchers do, right? But at some point, you want to be making millions of dollars, not $750,000 as a minimum, or, whatever you might get in arbitration. So I think that that's where they're going to do that a little bit. You leave room for Wally Jenkins somewhere on this roster, maybe even right away. They're going to have to try to find guys internally who are going to play if they're going to make their salary requirements here. So I know that I harp on it, and I'm excited to see what the young guys are. I don't remember a team being in this spot in the Twins organization since I was like in high school, and that's the part that kind of stings is I'm going back to like the Doug Mankiewicz, Torrey Hunter, early season, Corey Koski years. And yeah, they popped finally in 2001. There's just so many holes. They're going to need guys to step up and fill them.
Yeah, I just look at the roster and everything that Hogue said, I totally agree with. They obviously have to rebuild the bullpen. The first baseman thing I think is what bothers me the most is that the Twins haven't stepped up to the plate on like a legitimate first base or third base option. Josh Donaldson probably being the last one who was a legitimate third base option. But first base, even signing Carlos Santana, hindsight, you can look back and be like, oh man, I can't believe the Twins went out and got that guy. Look at the season he had. No, he was a scrap heap find that you were hoping he'd sort of be a reclamation project at first base. Yeah. Can we sign an established first baseman? Not even a high-level guy. Like Gleeman pointed this out of The Athletic. There's a ton of options. First base bats with power who can play an adequate first base for relatively little money. So I would love it if this team was going to try and be competitive. You can upgrade that first base position over Cody Clemens or Eddie Julian with minimal investment.
Yeah,
it's not that hard, Scott. Tell him, Wash.
It's incredibly hard.
I think you're right. I'm just tired of the scrap heap, but I also don't want them to spend $12 million on a guy who's going to be very little better than the scrap heap. Like that is one thing about this front office that I do appreciate is they really, well, I'll say that there's one thing about underpaying players is you never overpay players, right, in that scenario. So we're not seeing the wasted money. Like when have we said, oh man, they paid that guy too much? Like maybe aside from Carlos Correa,
Josh Donaldson.
Why are you so obsessed with me?
Like that's it. That's really the only guys we can say you paid too much for that guy. I wish you would have spent less.
You realize we're paying Carlos Correa $10 million to not play for us the next
there you go. Okay.
Second highest paid player on our team.
He's the one, right?
But I hate that you appreciate that, Dan. Like I would rather have them spend some money than swing and miss. I was trying so hard. My wheels were absolutely spinning, trying to come up with a metaphor. There has to be something about cooking dinner and always buying the cheaper cut of steak because the more expensive cut of steak might not have been worth it. Yeah. Even that's not great. But your Dan's like, well, thank goodness we don't overpay for garbage.
Yeah.
Well, like,
glad I didn't get that bone-in aged ribeye.
But hold on. This is because fans, we've seen this with the Vikings, with J.J. McCarthy. Fans will complain about anything, right? No matter what.
It is bad.
Losing battle. That's what I mean. Terrible metaphor. Fans will complain about anything. A guy who took 1,000 sacks and threw 10 interceptions.
Okay, I have a better one.
Even when he had guys wide open, couldn't hit him.
Right.
Why are you using? Why is this a hill you're trying to die on?
Okay,
fans will complain about anything. Complain about. They have so many legitimate complaints, Dan, or things they complain about that aren't legitimate. And you chose one of the most legitimate complaints that fans have in Minnesota right now. It's baffling to me.
All right.
I'm so glad I didn't have to do that.
There it goes. And that was Gardy's gripe.
Let me rephrase. Different sport, right? Kirill Kaprizov, right? I have seen people complain that the Wild, I can't even get the name out, that the Wild have overpaid Kirill. I would say you're going to have people like that who are going to say that because he's paying, because in 8 years, that's not going to, whatever, that's going to look like a waste of money. I love that deal. It's actually the same complaints we got about the Parisi deal and the Suter deal. People loved it at the beginning, but in the end, they hated it, right? So, again, where was I? I'm just trying to say.
Dan loves it when ownership doesn't spend money.
I like a good value, right? Don't you love going to the grocery
Dan,
store?
have I the team for you?
But like, or when you
Dan
go to
bases what teams he cheers for based on how many of them cut coupons.
Like
I like the Twins. I like the Pirates.
But like when you go to
big
Target,
Cincinnati Bengals fan,
and you see like a Goodwill Hunting Blu-ray for like $5, like don't you feel really good about that? Like, oh, I gotta snatch that up.
Just everyone remember, if you're voting on whether or not you still watch games on delay, Dan is still bargain hunting for Blu-rays at Target.
It's such a good movie, right? Good Will Hunting.
Rest my case.
You can watch it every time.
How you like them apples? I love that Dan has no idea what his original point was.
Totally lost track. Which spot are we on? Row 57 in the spreadsheet? Where are we at?
Yeah,
here, David? Help me out.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around Goodwill Hunting DVDs, Dan. I got to be honest. But,
Blu-rays. It's not the 90s.
Sorry.
This is the aughts.
real quick, let's go through the roster as it's currently constructed as we sort of talk about the needs. So we're a podcast about a bargain basement Twins team here. But
I love them for their frugality.
It's one of my favorite things about ownership. So we need a money sounder about saving money. I'll have to talk to my brother about that. No, it can't be that. It's gotta be something like, you know, those scenes from those like extreme couponers that they clip out where the guy's like so disappointed because he had to pay like 14 cents more than he thought he had to. Dan, that's who Dan wants with the Pohlad. Anyway, so let's start with the bright spot on the roster here. So the rotation locks are Lopez, Ryan, and Ober, obviously, assuming they don't get traded. But then the thing is, I had trouble figuring out the last two, not because I'm not sure who we're going to put there because all the options are terrible, but you have SWR, you have Zebby, you have David Festa, you have Taj Bradley, you have McAble, who's sort of an unknown quantity right now. So, and then you have Adams, Ole, and Raya, who those ones are less likely. But I'd say you have 5 guys who could fill those last 2 rotation spots, assuming that, again, we keep Lopez, Ryan, and Ober, and we don't trade them in the offseason. How do you guys fill out the rotation?
That's a great rotation right there. I mean, it objectively is a great rotation. I think right now I go with SWR and Zebby. I like Dan's idea of putting Bradley in the bullpen. I think hopefully it'd be nice to see Abel take one of those spots as the year goes on, but I think that's how I'd start it.
I think what's tricky is I don't know that Woods Richardson fits the profile of a guy you'd change to the bullpen at this point. I don't know that he has the stuff to it. I agree. I think Abel could be a great starter. And even maybe Festa becomes, and he's had some health issues. And so we'll see. Maybe he's a bullpen guy. The more I look at this list, guys, the more I think they're just going to turn a bunch of those guys into relief pitchers.
Maybe. I guess I'm not as willing to pull the plug. I think you're sort of clouded in your judgment about this because of Louis Varland a little bit. In the same way that I thought Byron Buxton was going to hit like 800 home runs that season, and he didn't because we were coming off of Judge hitting crazy numbers. But I just think that so many of these guys are so young. They're so early in their career that especially those top 5 that we're looking at, I just don't see those guys moving to the bullpen this season.
Who are the last 2 that you pick?
Yeah, no, at this point, I think I'm going to go with Taj Bradley and probably David Festa would be out of the gate is who I'd go with. But Matthews and Festa are sort of the ones that I'm going back and forth with. But I think if Abel starts the season at AAA and he pitches really well in his first 2-3 starts, I mean, there's obviously going to be guys who are going to be able to plug and play here, especially at the beginning of the season when guys are only going 4 or 5 innings. I mean, granted, who knows what's going to happen this season without Rocco to make those early pulls as we like to see him do. But yeah, I'd probably go with Taj Bradley, David Festa, and then Zebby waiting in the wings here.
Well, it's not quite summer, but when it is, I'm going to be putting wings on my grill, David. And when we get to grilling season and gathering the neighbors, I'm going to Cub Foods, right? Lucky for you, everybody in Minnesota, Cub Foods is your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. With everyday fresh products and a wide selection, you'll be in great shape to host the next grill out with all your backyard essentials. Grab your fresh produce, deli meats, party trays, and bakery all in one stop. With over 100 locations in Minnesota, check out your local Cub on your next shopping trip for all your summertime and, dare I say, wintertime essentials.
So let's go to the point of contention, I think, on the roster at this point, which is the bullpen. Right now for locks, I have Topa, Sands, Funderburk, and Orsi, the guy who they traded for, which none of those guys are closers. None of those guys are
what
arguably...
are you talking? They might be. Cole Sands closed games at the end of last season.
Yeah, he
closers
did.
In name only. Just because you close a game, that doesn't make you a closer.
It does,
Dan, okay?
though, technically.
Not
a good closer, but a closer nonetheless.
This semantics argument about what makes a closer, I don't know if I'm interested in having at this juncture, Dan. But I will say that those are 4 bodies that we can all but guarantee will be in the Twins bullpen for 2026. So the question is, are they going to try and fill that out from guys internally? Because you need more than 4 arms in the bullpen. So I just don't know
8 technically,
who they are.
Right? Because they have 2.
They have to go external. Like I think there is a chance that some of those young guys they transition, but maybe 1 or 2. And even then, that's going to be a bit of a battle. I do think your point about them being rather young is a good one. You don't want to give up because, I mean, yeah, you have to pay starters a lot more money, but they're also a lot more rare. So you don't want to give up on a guy too early either. You're right. The Louis Varland comparisons are a lot higher, but even Louis Varland had a lot of years before they decided to put him into the bullpen. I agree with Dan. I don't think SWR tracks to be a bullpen guy. He just doesn't have that kind of raw stuff. It's not like he's going to be throwing 100. I think almost all of these have got to come externally.
I think they will get maybe one or two more, but I think most of them do come internally, or it's AAA guys. So they
Where?
Hope.
Yeah. Look.
Hey, well, I mean, Adams, Ole, and Raya. Can you play that snap, crackle, pop sounder, David? Snap, crackle, pop, Rice Krispies. I just think in the great tradition of the Twins, they're going to find a couple guys internally from the bullpen who are guys. I mean, you can't tell me that those guys haven't had a chance, right? So they've been given the low-level chance to be a piggybacker, and it didn't work. So let's see what they can do instead of 4 innings or 3, give them 1 or 2.
I mean, I guess I'm looking at the relief pitchers who are free agents. There's so many of them.
There are so many.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if you can go down, even if you're going down, you can go down 25 names, and you can still find guys who could be helpful to this team. So Derek Law, Evan Phillips, Justin Wilson, Danny Coulom's available, and he had a rough time after we let him go, but he pitched very well for the Twins, obviously. Like, I'm looking at these guys, Brad Keller or Andrew Chaffin, these guys who they're names, but they've been in the league a while. You know what you're getting with them, and you're not going to have to overpay, but they're at least like confident, right? They're competent people coming out of the bullpen. Emilio Pagan is available. I don't know that that's someone we want to revisit. Caleb Kilbar is available also, who had a good season with the Cubs.
But I think you can fall too far off of the veteranness, because then you never get the young guys who might be, the next veterans, I suppose, down the road. Like, relief pitchers are so churnable. This is why they got rid of so many. So you named guys who at one point in their career were probably making or hoped to make $5 million. This is why Louis Varland didn't want to become a relief pitcher, because pretty soon he's going to be on that list, unfortunately for him.
But that's what I hate about this argument. Like, you talk about how easily churnable they are. Our bullpen wasn't, though, because we had a great bullpen. So now we have a churnable bullpen. But, like, we still lost out on guys that weren't making any money that were phenomenal relievers.
But if Rojas becomes really good, if Taj Bradley becomes really good, if I keep calling him Cain and Abel, I forget what his Abel's first Mick's first name. Like, you can't. But if one of those guys pops to be a great starter, isn't that trade kind of worth it?
No,
you don't think so?
Not even close. No, because you're getting rid of Duran, Jax, Coulomb, Varland. I mean, those are all. And all of those guys would be our closer right now. When we got rid of our top 5 guys. The team wasn't in a position to be even closing out important games. So, at some point, you have to have the high leverage situations to put the high leverage guys in. Otherwise, you're wasting them in some sense. I don't even agree with everything that I'm saying, but that's the argument. And if one of those pitchers becomes a great starter, I think maybe it makes all 3 or 4 of those deals kind of worth it.
Okay, so we've talked about the pitching side. Let's go to the position player side. And this is where it gets hazy at best, I'd say, because last season, going into the season, I think we all were looking at the big 3. We were looking at Buxton, Correa, and Lewis, and we were like, okay, this is a solid core to build around. Well, Lewis is sort of unknown at this point what he's going to be, because he struggled so mightily last season. Correa's gone, obviously. So really, the only piece that I think we can say with confidence is an all-star caliber player is Byron Buxton. So the question is, the pieces that you're going to put around him are either, again, not lottery tickets, but guys who are still fundamentally developing. And so what I would do, this is the way I'm thinking about the roster here, is as you're filling out the field, you have obviously Byron Buxton as your number 1 with a bullet. He's the guy, he's our man, he's our leader, he's the guy who's going to lead this team to be victorious or to lose games. But then the pieces that you're surrounding him with, you need Royce Lewis to step up and return to form. You need Brooks Lee to sort of become the player that we believe that Brooks Lee could be. You need Ryan Jeffers to return to a form that's closer to 2019, 2020 Ryan Jeffers, and not the last several seasons that we've seen out of him. And then it's sort of a mixed bag. Luke Keeschel, we just haven't seen enough of him to know, such a small sample size to really know what Luke Keeschel
He's going to be great. He's going to be great.
So, but the thing is, those names that I just listed, those guys have to work out to make this team competent, because the rest of the guys, you can't count on them. You can't count on them. You don't know what they are. You could put Austin Martin in that first group as well. But Alan Jackson, Eddie Julian, Cody Clemens, Trevor Larnach, Alan Roden, these are guys who are not bound for greatness, in my opinion. And so you need to have these other guys around Buxton that I mentioned in this sort of tier 1 group to step up. Otherwise, this team, there's no real point in trying to build this team up at all, because you need those guys to be productive.
That's the scary part, though. You're putting Keeschel and Martin in that group of tier 1 guys that need to stand up, and that's not where you want to be. You want those guys to be your bench players that you hope will have great years, and they have the potential to have great years, but the Twins don't need them, or don't, like, that's not a luxury they have. They if they want to compete at all, those guys have to be locks. I think that's well said.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
The name you haven't mentioned too much is Eddie Julian. Shocking. Because right now he's the only other guy who plays first base, really, that you have here. And that's where I think, gosh, if you can, well, first of all, if Shelton can get something out of Eddie Julian, if he can bring back the form, then that right there is worth the hire, I feel like, in so many ways. I think that Keyshaw is a regular who's going to be an all-star someday. I think Martin is a guy who showed that he can be a contributor, if not an everyday player for your team. That's the hole, is the first base spot. Cody Clemens, I'm even okay with Cody Clemens being the first baseman, begrudgingly as it may appear. But you have to have another guy who can just play a competent first base. We talked about this. And that's the spot where, if you look in the prospect list, they don't really have somebody there. Maybe it's, Sabato, the former first-round pick who was crushing at AAA, seemingly after they'd kind of given up on him. So I think maybe that's the spot that they need to go sign somebody. I think everybody else, unfortunately, unless you trade, Trevor Larnach or Rodon, you're not going to trade Rodon. Maybe it makes sense to trade Trevor Larnach just to kind of clear up a spot when you already have plenty of other left-handed outfielders.
Yeah, I guess I just look at the prospect list of guys who could fill in on this roster, and none from that prospect list are going to replace the guys who I currently have listed as on the roster. And so I'm struggling to see how this team is competitive without a whole bunch of guys taking pretty massive steps. And I think you're being a little bit, I don't know how to say it, overconfident in Keishel being that guy. I hope he is, and I do think that
his sample size is like Royce Lewis sample size here.
And
everybody was on the bandwagon for Royce, but you can't be for Keishel. Do you remember how great he was when he was playing for the Twins this year?
Proving David's point.
He was fantastic.
I think putting him in a group, because the way that you've described it is you sort of put him on the same tier as Buxton, is he's definitely going to be an all-star, and that's just not not where he is.
All-star versus definitely an all-star is technically a different pedestal.
Sure, but I'm saying the way that you just described it is you weren't happy that I put Keishel in tier 1 of guys who I think could be very good, but will need to be good for this team to be competitive. You put him in the will be very good column with Buxton.
But the will be and need to be are pretty. There's a blurred line between the two.
No, there's not.
Dan is so positive right now. I don't know what he's seeing in this lineup.
When I talk, like all I do all day, Dan, is put numbers in a certain order and make charts and facts and figures and put lines and put things in different groupings. And you're telling me it's a blurred line between guys who we know are going to be good and Byron Buxton as long as they stay healthy, and Luke Keishel, who we don't know if he's going to be good or not. No, it's a thick line, Dan.
Has anyone ever gotten tossed twice in one episode?
The weight of a line in Excel, this would be like a 2.5, which is insane. Nobody should ever do that in Excel, first of all, if you're listening. That's way too heavy of a weight for a chart. But I'm just telling you, Dan, that is a very thick line that you're trying to blur.
I'm just trying to figure out how to change the weight of the lines on the spreadsheet.
We talked about
here.
Titles on the last episode. Thick line to blur is not a terrible one.
There's gotta be a way to change this here. Anyway, I forget what my original. I keep forgetting my original point in these discussions.
You think Luke Keishel is going to win the MVP for 2026? I believe is what you were saying.
No, but I think he's going to be a very good player. I think, and he's got the clutch gene, right? He's got what 2023 Royce had, right?
Yeah, but that hurts your argument, Daniel.
I love the use of Daniel there.
Hoges, what do you think about this lineup?
I think it's terrible. I think it's objectively terrible. I think it is thick line terrible.
Okay, can we look at the bench? Okay, so you have other guys on the 40-man here.
That is the bench. Like, those guys should be the bench.
No, sorry, but the column over, the position player options, right? So Mickey Gasper, who I don't think has a future in Major League Baseball. James Outman, who I don't think does. Ryan Fitzgerald is a good story and a doppelganger for James Outman, right? So, like, we don't need him either. I do think Rodriguez has a future if he can stay healthy. I don't think Carson Muscusker is going to be any good. I list these off because this is a lot of spots on the 40-man that are going to be open in April. No, because if you look farther down,
yeah, right. That's like, fucking all the space we got. It's not a good thing.
But Wally Jenkins will be on the 40-man as soon as possible. He'll be there, I think, by the time opening day comes around.
Which isn't
good. You think he's gonna on the 40-man or at the on?
I think the 40-man. I think he's gonna get a call up at some point early April, probably. Maybe not the season opener, but I think he's gonna be playing for this team. crazy prediction time. I think Wally Jenkins plays 100 games for the Twins next year.
No
I'd
chance,
agree with
dude.
it. No,
I would love
I think so, for
another
sure.
bet for a board game convention, Dan. I am on board. There's actually PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia. That one's not too expensive. Do we want to make a little wager?
It's not Germany, I think. You can come along. I think we're going to be in Germany this summer. We'll bring you over for, well, I'm not betting
For
that,
board
but-
games.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what my family would love to do, is go to a board game convention as part of our
No, that's
trip.
one of the reasons why I don't really want to go to Essen. Because if I'm going to go somewhere like Germany, I don't want to play board games. I want to do stuff. I want to drink beer and eat sausage. What are you
Sounds
talking
like
about?
something I would have said there. It's weird to hear it out of your mouth, but
Beer and sausages. I'm basically a hobbit. Okay. So let's move on here. I think we've talked about all we can regarding the roster until the Twins make some moves or sign somebody. So let's go forward here. I just want to have a brief discussion here about the salary cap in MLB. So just to get a baseline, pro or anti salary cap, Hoges and Dan?
I think it's too nuanced. I think I'm anti.
Anti-salary for Hoges. Dan?
If I'm a Padres fan, I'm anti. But as a Twins fan, I'm pro. Because the Padres went out and they spent money. And I think maybe they're up for sale now as well. I forget exactly where it is with the news.
Yeah.
Because in baseball, if your owner wants to spend money, he or she can spend the money, right? And then you can try to build a winner, which is what San Diego has done. And lo and behold, they fill 35,000 seats every game without question, right? And I think that kind of thing, that's possible in Minnesota. And so to support Hoges' point, which I think he would make, yeah, I would be anti if the Twins would spend money. But as a Twins fan, I want to make the owners spend more money. I want to make them spend up to a minimum. But at the same time, would that matter? Like, are they just going to spend money poorly if it's the Pohlad spending the money?
I'm viewing it differently than you. So you're thinking that if they had a salary cap, the Twins would spend more money.
Because I think it would come with some kind of a minimum or an incentive through revenue sharing that would make it so the teams would spend in the NFL, right? That's how the NFL and the NHL operate, right?
Yeah, I don't hate that argument. I guess my biggest thing that I'm against the salary cap is if you have the money, you should be able to spend it. Plain and simple. I like hating the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Red Sox. And again, the Pohlads are the 10th richest owners in baseball. Mm-hmm. They have the money. They can spend it. I get that your business isn't going to make as much, but we've talked about this a lot. And again, none of us are billionaires owning sports teams. It shouldn't be viewed as a business. They're all making money. Correct. They're all making buttloads of money. The Yankees coming out and saying that they're not making any money is just one of the most stupidest things I've ever read in my life. Then open up your books. All right. If you're going to go out and say that you're not making any money, open up your books, which they'll never, ever, 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 ever do because they are making money hand over fist. And the Yankees are worth $8 billion and they bought them for $100 million. So yeah, enough of that. But if you have the money and you want to make your team better, keep spending money. There's nothing. The players love it. There's no way there's no way they want a salary cap. So I don't think that you should hurt the teams that are willing to do that and put a good product on the field by trying to benefit teams that are just going to cut corners no matter what.
Can I float an idea here?
Please.
No salary cap, but a maximum year and value that individual contracts can reach.
I mean, that's been tried. Right, the NBA and the NHL have tried that.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that with the NBA and the NHL. I know that they're within the framework of a salary cap, but it does allow things to not just get totally carried away where teams can just take whoever they want. I mean, the Ohtani contract, while totally within the rules, is 100% ridiculous. Yeah. Why more teams aren't doing that deferred money makes no sense to me because it seems like the greatest loophole ever. And the Dodgers would take it. They've won 2 World Series. They don't care.
That contract probably already paid for itself in the mercance that's
100 times over. So yeah, I'm surprised more teams don't do that. But yeah, I don't hate something like that where teams can be competitive. The one thing that I do like, I like the luxury tax, like the Steve Cohen tax, where that money goes back to the revenue sharing, which I think that is a good idea. But I mean, let's be honest, there's never going to be a salary cap. Baseball the players will never go back out on the field if that's on the table.
Yeah, when I just think it's so funny, when you talk to NFL guys and MLB guys talking, and you talk about guaranteed money, and now that's a really big deal in the NFL. When a guy when Kurt signed that deal and he got a huge guaranteed amount, everybody's like, "You can do that," and it's that's how MLB works. And it's
completely.
Can I introduce you to Bobby Bonilla
right away?
It's just sort of it's a crazy idea here to think that they're going to come in with the stipulations that the NFL does, but I do think that. I think they need to make a change somehow. I'm just not sure how. I would like the players to get more money for what they provide on the field, but at the same time, like, we're still talking about guys who are making millions. I guess the people I feel bad for are the everyday players who aren't making enough money to support their family and their children after they leave the league, right? Like, that's what concerns me maybe, is that you want guys to make enough money who this is when they're going to make money. Like, I guess these guys who are away from their families for 8, 9, 10 months out of the year to play this sport, to make a lot of money, you'd like them to make enough money that they can live comfortably for the rest of their lives when their contract and their playability runs out. I just feel bad. I don't want to see guys, picking up librarian jobs, making minimum wage because they didn't make enough money during their playing career, especially if they had a lot of good years in the MLB.
But you can do that differently too, like raising the veteran minimum and stuff like that, which I think helps.
I'm
the
not
one
saying
thing
that the salary cap is the answer. I'm just like, these are the guys I'm thinking of, the everyday guys who aren't making the sort of money that they needed to sort of justify the life path that they've taken.
It does seem like a lot of these players associations, when these new deals are happening, are focusing a lot more on their health care for after they get out of the league. And it's less of a deal in baseball, obviously, because it's not as bad on your body as the NFL, even the NBA, but for sure the NHL too. So I think baseball will probably, baseball has pretty good healthcare anyways with guys that are out of the league. I think they do get it for life, but I think they need to focus on that too. It's going to be interesting, boys. Like, there's a real chance that there's a strike in 2027.
Oh, I think it's more probable than not, unfortunately. Yeah. But hey, we'll get a season off. Our families will love it, Dan. Our wives will be thrilled. There's no episodes to record.
And maybe the Pohlads will double their payroll then.
Not yet.
I do like a frugal owner, though. It just warms my heart.
Who doesn't? Okay, last topic here before we get out of here, folks. I want, if I could choose one thing to happen at the players and the managers meetings here when they're talking about 2027, I want every player wearing a first-person camera. Make it small so it doesn't impact the way that they can play the game, but I want every player to have a first-person camera on their body, because I think that would be so cool to watch those miraculous plays, watch Buxton robbing a home run and be able to watch it from his perspective. I think the appreciation we have for players, especially guys who aren't out there playing, town ball and stuff, who aren't still in it and they're sort of having to relive their high school days and their memories, to see that perspective of a pro athlete making these amazing plays from their perspective, I think would be phenomenal watching.
Are you saying this just because the first person umpire cams were just beautiful in the playoffs?
Oh, that's certainly part of it, no question. I love that.
They were so cool. I loved them so much.
More delusions of grandeur from Hoges and Dan saying it doesn't look that hard to hit these balls. Like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, for sure could hit that.
It was right down the middle. I mean, how could he not
put me in, coach? I did like the conversations that the umpires have all the time with the batters when he's just like, you didn't call that a ball the first time. And he's like, well, that one wasn't. Like, I thought that was kind of cool how there's that back and forth between them.
As long as there's no conversation between the players and the booth or something like that.
Just
during
nonstop interviews. The entire game. They got a little mic.
No, that's not what I'm advocating. I'm advocating something that's
that
just
not
the camera.
So these cameras, I actually don't know what they look like. Like, are these
the umpire one?
Okay, but like on the body,
playoffs?
like is this like a giant like 90s camera? Like, what does this look like?
It looks like a GoPro that's about yay big.
But like, I bet they can get them pretty small though. And it doesn't have to be a 4K, IMAX screen camera that we're talking about. But you just want to get a feel. I'm not expecting it to be 1080p
that
perfect,
seems so
clear.
expensive. Like to have every player like with a little.
And we're talking about an industry that brings in billions
what is
of
with
dollars.
you and frugality right now? Like,
I really
cameras would be sweet, but I don't think the league can afford it.
Dan really appreciates the MLB uses delayed shipping on Amazon to get the promotional credits. He's a big fan of that.
I love that they're saving some money in the league.
It can go with my next shipment.
What is
happening?
I
don't want to make the delivery guy come out here, twice in a week.
I think in some way in Dan's mind, he gets this money somehow.
Yeah, right? They send it back to him. Yeah. It's part of his inheritance.
I just don't want it to be something that
Rob Manfred's like a distant uncle or something like that. That Dan's like, you got to just save it all, man.
In the family. I just...
Sorry, we should say quickly, Manfred did do an interview and he got asked about the Twins like minority owners or weighted investors or however they're calling it as far as how they're going to interact. And he still says things are moving along, which is the same thing he said in July. So I don't really know what
I don't think they exist. They're not real.
I think as long
not exist.
As long as the camera is not like going to inhibit the players, okay. I guess that's fine.
And as long as they don't spend too much money on these.
I'm still confused on why you don't think that would be.
Guys.
Why do you not think that wouldn't be so cool to see that perspective?
Oh, I think it would be cool. I just don't want it to be like.
I think Dan thinks they're holding like the old things on their shoulder.
Dan thinks they're out there holding the sound things like they have on the NFL side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I just like when Matt Wallner looks up and misjudges the ball in right field. Like I think it would
the
be
camera
cool
was
to see,
weighing his
I
head
suppose.
down.
Yeah,
that's what you want. You want to see misjudge. As someone who has tried to catch fly balls out in left field at target field, that sun is vicious. I will never judge a guy for losing the ball in the sun ever again. It is when it gets in, like that little crack, like in between the like the and the
the lights and this. Yeah,
exactly. When it's right there, oh my goodness, and it's on a line drive, that ball is gone for seconds. I just stood there and I was like, I might die. I really don't know.
It could happen. Oh, boys. Well, what a conversation we've had here. I don't know when we'll be back with our next episode. We do have, next episode, we'll have an exciting update or opportunity for listeners to get more content, not necessarily Twins content, but we'll little teaser trailer of what's coming here in the future. But boys, hopefully we can have a new episode soon talking about all the great signings that your Minnesota Twins have made.
All right, you go ahead and send
I'll
this out,
hold
I
my
think,
breath.
David.
Will do. Well, folks, if you like what you hear, please tell a friend. You can follow us on X at Men for the Win and find our Men for the Win Facebook and Instagram pages. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform so that you're notified when new episodes are available. And if you could leave us a rating or like, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to support the show further, you can find us on Patreon, link in the description. Thanks for listening, and as always, go Twins!
That'll wrap up another episode of Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, two avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Thanks so much for listening, and as always, go Twins.